from our June 22nd meeting. I'd like to acknowledge Adrian, who presented his Pathway Icebreaker. Yes. Come on up. Whoa! And the lady with the camera in her hand to acknowledge your icebreaker from Madam VP, are there any program changes? Please.
No, not that I can see. No. We are pointing none.
We'll move straight on to the rest of our program. I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster for the day, Mr. Harold Robinson. It's the straight line on the right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you don't have tea or coffee yet, feel free to help yourselves. I want to do a quick snap survey. So, let's say hypothetically, I offer you a job for 30 days. I'll give you a choice. You can either I'll pay you 100 Rand on the first day and increase it by 100 Rand every day thereafter. Or I'll give you 1 cent on the first day, and the next day I'll give you 2 cents, and I'll double it to 4 cents, and I'll carry on that way. Alright, for those of you who would take the first choice of the 100 Rand, put your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those who would take the second choice? It's about the same. So those of you who chose the first choice, I'm going to... Very noisy back there. Those of you who had the first choice, I'm going to accuse you of straight line thinking. Who took the second choice? Why did you take the second choice? Because Kubus is change, which means it's exponential. In fact, if you take the 100 Rand choice, at the end of the 30 days you'll end up with 5,900 Rand. You start with 1 cent, double it, you end up with 8 million Rand for the month. So, that was quite a good ratio that we had here for the second choice. In most groups, people go for the first choice instinctively because we think in straight lines. And for some reason, we like to do that. We don't like to think exponentially. And hence, the reason for the theme today is to try and persuade you to think exponentially in the future if necessary. I have a few people helping me today to run the meeting, and I'd like them just to introduce their roles very briefly. We'll start with the timekeeper. Sabrina, would you quickly just tell the group what your role today will be?
My job is to help the prepared speakers, impromptu speakers, and evaluators keep on track. So for a 5 to 7 minute speech, at 5 minutes, the light will turn green. At 6 minutes, it will turn orange. At 7 minutes, it will be For evaluators, at 2 minutes, it will be green. 2.5 minutes, it will be orange. 3 minutes, it will be red. For table topics, at 1 minute, it will be green. 1.5 minutes, it will be orange, and 2 minutes, it will be red. Thank you.
And what you likely will tell you is that if you go more than half a minute over, normally we would get Joe to throw you off, but we'll give him a rest, we'll get Mark to do it. We have a grammarian in our midst. Tambu, you tell us your role and introduce your word of the day.
Certainly, Mr. Toastmaster. My role as grammarian today is to listen to the use of language and words as people speak, is to comment on great use of the English language and perhaps awkward use of the English language. The point of the exercise, I just want to remind you, is not to judge, but for all of us to learn from it. Part of my role as well today is to introduce a new word, which you'll have the opportunity to use as you speak throughout the day. The challenge for you is to try and slip it into your conversation or your speech or your impromptu speech. And I will note down how many people have used it and congratulate you at the end. The word for today is legerity. I'll repeat it, legerity. It's physical or mental quickness, nimbleness of mind, and agility. Thank you. Agility.
So people who suffer from straight line thinking show a lack of maturity.
Doesn't count it.
And counting our ums and ahs today will be Peter. Please tell us your role today.
Good morning, everyone. As the R counter, it is my job to use my legerity to be on top of everyone's R's, ums, and so's, and buts, and ifs, and y's, and hows. Not all of those, but I'm just joking. And then I'll read the thing that I've been given. Is listen to all of the speakers and make a note of words and sounds used as pause filters. Used too often or repeated consecutively by anyone who speaks during the meeting, such as or, and, well, but, so, you know. So I do have to use my legerity in this respect. The intent is not so much to catch speakers using fillers, but more to help them make them aware of crutch words that they may be using out of habit and that they may take away from the impact of their public speaking, very positively contributing to the upliftment of their speaking. Thank you. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Clearly, this was an easy word.
Later on we'll have table topics. Our table topics master today will be Johan. Would you tell us what you'll be doing, please?
Look, I stood up. See, I said,
That's, thank you for pointing that out.
the
Say
whole,
it twice there. You have to repeat it.
the whole objective of table topics is to encourage legerity, to make people think on their feet. So I'm going to look for some victims or volunteers a little later, and they will not know what topic I'm going to give them. I'll give them a clue though at this stage. It all has to do with the sea.
See.
The sea, yes. I know you can swim in it. Yeah, that sea. Not the sea, you see, that's the agility on your part. That's it.
charge of our evaluation session today will be Linda. Linda, would you tell us about your role, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As general evaluator, my role is to evaluate the meeting in general. I will call for reports from the 4 evaluators, the timekeeper, the grammarian, and the R counter. And as evaluation chair, I will lead the evaluation session of the 4 evaluators during the break. Thank you.
Just before we move on to our speaking session on straight line thinking, some of you may have heard the old story of the inventor of chess was offered a reward by the king, any reward he wanted. And he said he just wants one reward. He said, start with 1 grain of rice on the first square of the chessboard, and double it, double it, double it, double it. And the king thought, well, that's not a problem. Well, in time he found out that he didn't have enough rice in the world to actually fill the last square. So I think that king, you could say, he suffered from straight line thinking as well. Now this falls in line with our annual theme is we spoke about better than it gets, and based on the book Factfulness by Hans Rosling. He talks about the straight line instinct. It says that we as humans, we tend to extrapolate incidents in straight lines as opposed to looking at how it's actually happening. And the example he uses is we get quite stressed about population growth, about the world population growth. And what he's saying is we forget about underlying things. So for example, as people get wealthier, the family sizes get smaller, so the population growth actually slows down. So then suddenly it's not such a bad scenario, it's not as bad as we thought it would be. So if you start applying straight line thinking, not applying straight line, things aren't always as bad as you thought they would be. Our speaking program today, we have 4 speakers and no icebreakers today. That's quite something. Our first speaker today is Fortune. He'll be doing his second speech on the pathways, and his evaluator will be Lynn.
Sorry, we just didn't have time to chat.
Okay?
Has done his icebreaker. Yeah. So it's his next speech on level 1, at which he will then take feedback from that and repeat the speech down the line. So that's what it is. Okay. Thanks.
Right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Fortune Bongata. And his title is Variety, the Spice of Colombia.
If you move the lecture, you've got to release the brakes.
They are released already. Ladies and gentlemen, Fortune Mabonga, Variety, the Spice of Colombia.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Today I will take you to South America in the magnificent country of Colombia. Colombia is well known for its biodiversity and cultural diversity. I've watched several TV shows that have covered Colombia, such as National Geographic, Narcos, and the Gran Tour, and I've decided to put Colombia on my bucket list of countries that I should visit in my lifetime. Colombia is well known for its biodiversity. National Geographic once stated that if the Earth's biodiversity was a country, it would be named Colombia. It is the most densely biodiverse country per square kilometer, and overall it is the second most biodiverse country in the world after a much bigger Brazil. It has more than 56,000 registered species and more than 9,000 endemic species. Endemic species are species that are unique to a particular geographic area. Colombia also has more than 58 protected national parks. Colombia also has a multicultural tradition. This is due to its geographic location. It is at the doorway to South America, and also historically strategic point of arrival for the Spaniards and African slaves who were coming to the Americas. Thanks to this cultural diversity, Colombia hosts several carnivals every month of the year, where a variety of dance and music are exhibited. There are also other facts that we might need to know about Colombia. We cannot mention Colombia without mentioning the C word. Anyone with an idea what the C word is? Yes? No? Cocaine, you're right. So, Colombia produces cocaine more than any other country in the world. As a matter of fact, in 2019, the United Nations have actually said that Colombia has actually surpassed the world records in terms of cocaine production. So this cocaine comes from coca plants that thrive very well in the Colombian weather conditions. You can also not talk about the C word without talking about Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was a Colombian drug lord. He had this sharp notoriety for smuggling drugs. And he pulled a number of shocking escapades, and there's only one that stands as astounding to me. He made a deal with the Colombian authorities to serve a 5-year sentence in a jail that was built to his own specifications, and he would choose who would guard him as well. So this jail is popularly known as Hotel Escobar. Why? Because of the amenities, the flamboyant amenities that were in that jail. For example, it had jacuzzis, it had football pitches, bars, and surprisingly a waterfall. In this part of the world, this story fits in nicely in the fiction category. There's no way you're going to serve a sentence in your own jail. What I'm going to say next, some people may find it disgusting. I apologize in advance. But if it is happening, we might as well say it, right? So I was watching a TV show called Gran Tour, which is hosted by Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond. These are the previous hosts of Top Gear. So they've been tasked by Amazon to go and take pictures of Colombia. So this, for those who watch Amazon Prime Video, these pictures would appear as screensavers on your TV. So whilst they were in Colombia, they actually have 2 episodes in Colombia. They couldn't do it in 1 episode. Whilst they were in Colombia, they decided to take pictures of animals. And during the exercise, they decided to go to a village and take pictures of donkeys. They saw lots of donkeys there. During the photo shoot, the unthinkable happened. They found a young man being intimate with a donkey. And they were startled and they looked for an interpreter to find out what was happening with this young man. To their surprise, the locals laughed it off. They said it's normal tradition in Colombia. It's called donkey love. So young men are encouraged to warm up to donkeys until they are ready to settle. If you go to the internet and search, it's normal in Colombia to do that. In conclusion, I think Colombia is a mixed bag due to its cultural diversity, biodiversity, as well as other facts that I might not have been able to talk about due to time, such as volcanoes. So I put Colombia on the bucket list of countries that I should visit, not because of the cocaine, or the donkeys, but because I also want to go there and enjoy this diversity and carnivals. So, Colombia. Variety is the spice of Colombia. Thank you.
Well, one thing Pablo Escobar's jail did miss was the donkeys, I guess. Our next speaker is Ane. Ane is part of his presentation mastery. She's doing the third speech from level 1. Her evaluator is Kobus Neighbor. Kobus, would you please tell us what you'll be evaluating Ane's speech on?
Certainly, Mr. Toastmaster. Ane's assignment is to choose any topic for your first 5 to 7 minute speech. After your speech, carefully review your feedback. At the future club meeting, present a 5 to 7 minute speech in which you incorporate feedback from your first speech. You may choose to present the same speech again or a new speech. Your second speech should reflect some or all of the feedback from your first speech. Finally, after you have completed both speeches, serve as an evaluator at a club meeting and deliver constructive feedback about another member's presentation. The project includes a 5 to 7 minute speech, and you need to incorporate the feedback from your first speech, and then you need to serve as a speech evaluator.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ane Reeves. The topic is Beautiful Africa. Ane Reeves, Beautiful Africa.
Africa, a land of poverty, warlords, and malnourished children, or a land of hopes, dreams, and diverse culture. Sir Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, visitors and guests. My very first trip into Africa was to Tanzania. I stayed in a sea view suite in a sea cliff hotel with the most ecstatic ocean views. I thought I was in paradise as my mornings would start off with yoga and meditation, listening to the beautiful waves, looking at the dolphins playing in the ocean. I could not believe this was Africa. All this came to a very abrupt end as I got into the cab. We entered this road with gridlock traffic. There was absolute chaos everywhere. Our driver dodged into the oncoming traffic lane, and as we were about to hit a car, he swerved onto the paving. I somehow survived 8 terrific trips and lived to tell the tale. On one of my trips to Ghana, I went to the most extravagant wedding I've ever been to. One of my friends was marrying the Deputy Defence Minister's daughter. It was a royal affair with 800 guests. No expense was spared for the union of this lovely couple. The ladies wore kaftas with these decorative hats. The men wore matching traditional African outfits. It was here that I fell in love with African clothing, and I vowed to buy an outfit in every African country I traveled to. My dream was shattered in Uganda, as this trip offered such tight deadlines, there was no time to shop. In the last hour, I convinced one of my colleagues to take me, using their local transport, to the local market. We used a tuk-tuk and off we went, 3 of us on a scooter, weaving through all the cars. For those of you who do not believe me, I took some selfies to prove it. I've been fortunate enough to travel to 10 African countries. And nowhere else in the world have I experienced such unity and richness and diversity in culture. We view Africa as being backwards, but as we've become so westernized, caught up in our cyberspace world, living in our big houses, beautiful cars, we've lost the essence and purity of our heritage. This is the real beauty of Africa, and I'm proud to be African. Thank you.
Anything else I can do to entertain you? Thank you very much, Anne. Tanzania, I've also been on the roads there and know exactly what you mean, but as you said, the friendliest people you could ever meet. Our next speaker is Adrian, and Adrian's pathways path is innovative planning. We're going to get you evaluated. And he's doing school level 1 and his second speech, and he's the evaluator of his speech will be out. How would you tell us what you evaluated on, please?
So, Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, especially Adrian. The purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to the second speech. The purpose of this speech is for the member to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator. Adrian, you've got 5%.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Adrian, Marriage for Dummies.
Mr. Toastmaster,
Adrian Hine, Marriage for Dummies.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests and visitors. So, marriage for dummies. Boy, to have a successful marriage, you've got to be skilled in behaviour. And a dummy. And a dummy, maybe. Because marriages don't always go in a straight line. Now, in my particular case, that's very true. I was married to Anne for 25 years. We had a good life together. We problems with back problems. And I was not a very nice guy to meet. I did have an operation, things seemed to sort of get better. But my wife, she was a great tennis player. She started playing tournaments around the country here, singles and doubles. And you can imagine my surprise when I found out she was having an affair with a doubles partner. It was a very, and she wanted to divorce me. There was nothing I could do about it, so I just accepted it. But I was broken in so many ways. However, I did have some advice from my financial advisor. He said, Adrian, I don't mean to be sanctimonious, why don't you come to my prayer group? Which I did. And then, from the prayer group, I became a committed Christian. And after a while, I started my own prayer group. And in came Anne number 2. Wow, she was really beautiful. But she had quite a bit of baggage. She had been married and divorced when her kids were very young, and then she had a partner for 14 years. And he ended up committing suicide for no reason, apparently. So she wasn't in a state of long-term relationship, but I persevered, and eventually she accepted my proposal to marry her. And my son was living across the road, and she had a place, I had my place, and we decided we were going to get a place together, and we lived in this retirement. Now, there are always ups and downs in marriage, it never runs on a straight line there, even in a good relationship. So, I thought to myself, you know, what can I do to really have fun in our marriage there? And then I came across a couple who had presented the show, Marriage for Dummies. I thought, okay, let's have a listen to what they've got to say. I couldn't find details, but they had a little promo clip. And the promo clip started off across my computer screen, love and marriage, love and marriage. And then they focused on Lisa McElroy, and her husband was Aaron. And of course, Lisa dominated everything there. And there was poor Aaron sitting there, wanting to get his word in. And he was just about to open his mouth when, across my screen 1 minute later, love and marriage. So, well, obviously he was a bit annoyed about the fact that his wife was dominating. And then I thought about, you know, there are lots of little things that annoy us. You know, take one example. When I go shopping with my wife, it's a question of, she knows where everything is, so, you know, she knows if she has to get bananas, exactly where it is. When I go shopping on my own, it's Josh, boom, 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 boom. But with her, it's, and I get kind of annoyed. Oh, come on. So, one thing about this particular show is they made fun of all those little things that happen. And then I've decided, okay, let's see if I can write down the list of the things that annoy me and all the things that annoy her. I won't go into the details, but you can imagine all the things that can happen. Like, you know, I leave her like dirty clothes around and I pretend to listen to what she's saying before I might focus on something else. And so, and I was just thinking now in terms of what's the difference between the way men's brains are wired and women's brains are wired. Now, I like to think of it in terms of waffles for a man, big chunks here and there, and whereas a woman is like spaghetti. Now, what a man thinks is clunk, 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 clunk in each department. Now, what a woman thinks is so I thought to myself, now, this is going to be the subject, the sequence. For the next few weeks, I'm now going to sit down with my wife and say, darling, you know, do you get upset about me being written down? Okay, we were supposed to be there half an hour ago. So that's the way it goes. So in my follow-up speech, I'm going to reveal to you basically how my little sessions go. Hopefully the list won't be too long. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, Adrian, I don't think anyone's going to accuse you of saying that women think in straight lines. Our next speaker is Andy, and he's being the CC10. And evaluating her today, special guest Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Mandy, objectives. Project 10 on a manual called Competent Communication. Inspire your audience. Objectives. To inspire the audience by appealing to noble motives and challenging the audience to achieve a higher level of belief or achievement. Appeal to the audience's needs and emotions using stories, anecdotes, quotes to add drama. Avoid using notes. The time is 8 to 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Dave. Ladies and gentlemen, Mandy. Andy Murray, realization.
What does realization mean? The dictionary defines it as an act of becoming aware of something that's a fact. When I read this, I see it as contextual, as having little sustenance. The realizations that have occurred in my life over the last 5 years have more substance and meaning. The descriptive words that easily roll off my tongue: awakening, mastery, understanding, discovery, perception, acceptance. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, visitors and guests. Realization 1, understanding and identifying what time means to me. I had this preconceived notion that time is a vertical: past, present, future. We're born, we reach our milestones, we become toddlers, we go to school, we become teenagers, we turn 18 and get our license. At 21, somebody gives us a key to move out. So we move out. We find the person of our dreams. We get married, have children. We have a hugely successful career, and we travel the world. We have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And we sit on the porch swing with our soulmates and get old. And one day, we go off to bed together, hold hands, and drift into the afterlife, peacefully. When my dad died at 52 and my mom at 55, I started to think about time in horizontal, because they never got to the porch swing. Or the 2-year-old child who died yesterday, well, they never really began. 5 years ago, I was listening to a talk on 702. High five, before I go there, has anybody ever thought, oh, Monday, tomorrow's Monday, Monday blues? Show of hands. Thank you for the ones who put up their hands and their honesty. 5 years ago, I was listening to a talk on 702. Eddie, the speaker, said, I am going to change your perception about time. And I thought, oh no, another Eckhart Tolle power of now speech. Eddie's talk was this down and then implement it as soon as possible. I grabbed the calculator, I grabbed the paper and pen, and Eddie said, I want you to think of your life span. I want you to pick an age of when you think you're going to die. We all kind of have an idea in our mind. So I picked number 75. Nice numbers, I like those numbers, lucky numbers. He said, now subtract your age. So I took 75 minus 39. I was 39 at the time. And I got to 36. Eddie said, for the purpose of this exercise, that gives you 36 more years to live. And I looked at this and I thought, well, that's not bad. It's kind of halfway where I am right now. 36 more years to live, I can do that. Eddie said, I now want you to times that by 52. And I got 1,872. Eddie said, for the purpose of this exercise, that's how many weeks you have left to live. When you chunk things like that, you see a whole different perception. 1,872 weeks left to live, that's nothing. Eddie said, now, I want you to go home and find a glass vase. And then find pebbles or rocks equally in size and put that amount into the vase. And every Monday, I want you to take one rock out. When you're removing one rock a week, that's nothing. I've been doing this for 5 years, and I have removed 208 rocks. Believe me, the difference is significant. So this got me thinking. If the law of genetics and hereditary are true, the science behind it, and my parents died so young, I've only got 15 years left to live. And I took stock of my life. I looked around and I thought, 780 weeks? And I'm living it like this? Most days I'm like a hamster on a wheel, working so hard but getting nowhere. Going to a job, a means to an end. Getting paid to pay the bills. I wasn't living, I was surviving. Staying in an abusive marriage because society wanted me to, for the well-being of my children. Really? So, the second realization emerged. If you don't like where you are, move. You are not a tree. So I spent the next 2 years of my life uprooting and changing it, directing its course towards happiness, peace, purpose. I started my own company. I moved into my own home. I got a divorce. And I thought, I've arrived. I didn't feel this amazing bliss. I felt stuck, burdened, heavy weight. And I realized I need to unpack what I was carrying, aka my past. When I looked at this enormous baggage, it had a lot of repetition. Dressed up in many different disguises. Limiting beliefs, negative thoughts, emotional wounds. A lot of not good enoughs, not worthy enoughs, undeservedness, other people's judgment. I needed to repack, and I definitely needed a smaller bag. I am now at this point in my journey where I am repacking my smaller bag. I am filling it with good memories, with cherished treasures from my past, forgiveness, and the valuable lessons I have learned. And while I'm working through this, I came to understand that I take very good care of my physical body. I eat healthy, I go to the gym, I I go for pedicures and manicures and hairdresser. Sometimes I shower, I brush my teeth twice a day. And when I cut my finger, I tend to that wound immediately. I run it under hot water, I clean it, and I put a plaster over it. But I have failed and neglected my inside, my emotional body, my mental body, my soul. The last 5 years have presented me with hardship, challenges, and terrifying experiences. But the last 5 years have also taught me to accept reality. It is what it is. To embrace and appreciate every day, especially Mondays, no matter the conditions or circumstances. To continue to do what is good for me, and to only carry that which serves me. Here I am.
Thank you very much, Mandy. I like this idea of the rock week. I don't have a star big enough.
It's much full of rock.
Thank you, Rox, we mean it.
Just turn it to marbles.
Marble. That's for little boys. Rena, would you give us a timekeeper's report?
Fortune Mabonga, 6 minutes 25 seconds. Ane, 3 minutes 40 seconds. Adrian, 6 minutes 14 seconds. And Mandy, 9 minutes 10 seconds.
Just before we break, let me tell you some of the results of what happens from straight line thinking. Have you watched how people react to the market? When the economy is going well, when everything is, prices are going up, everyone assumes that it's going to carry on like that. And then when it changes, and everyone goes into a downward line, and they assume it's going to carry on forever like that. But like we are in this country. Some of you in this room are, like me, old enough to remember the 1970s when we had a fuel oil crisis. We predicted that we'd run out of oil by the year 2000. And where are we now? 2019. And with oil at $60 a barrel, there's certainly no shortage of it. So that was straight line thinking. You just assumed everything would stay as it was. So sometimes it leads to really wrong conclusions when you do that. You need clever people like Warren Buffett and those guys who make money because they don't do straight line thinking. We can do the same. What is the time, please? 12 minutes past 10. And break would be 10:30. How long would you like for a break? 20 minutes enough? So we get together at... Sorry?
We're flashing you.
Lucky guy.
I was about to say, no, you're not.
I'm not doing it in a straight line.
Not spending your time in July.
Thank you for the flash. If you would please write on a piece of paper in front of you who you thought was the best of the 4 speakers.
like to try different things every now and then. Not that we haven't tried this before, but we've done it perhaps for a little while. If each evaluator could meet with the person whose speech they are evaluating as soon as we start the break, for 5 minutes please, and then the 4 evaluators will come together for another 10 or 15.
Where are you going to meet?
Meet in the dark room.
I'm not sure. We'll see as we go out here, perhaps on the patio.
If we get lost, just keep an eye out. So we get together again, 10:35 or 10:40? 10:40? Nice long break. That's very nice.
Okay.
10:22, 22:11. Thank you very much. Break.
The victims, the volunteers, to think about a sea cruise. And Lucinda, you really kindly offered. I'm going to give you this. I want to tell you before we start, I get these British shipping magazines. One of the big tour groups, they built a new ship to carry 6,000 tourists, 2,000 crew. Lucinda, please join me here. Would you like to go on a ship with 6,000 other people?
All girls, yes.
There we go. So bloody well put. Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, me and ships, we do not have a very good relationship. I only see the toilet seat the whole way through. I've had many a trip between Greece and to Hook of Holland, to White Cliffs of Dover, and all I saw was the toilet seat, and I got told how lovely the food was, the entertainment. But since we were so kindly given some beautiful tip, to go on a ship with 6,000 beautiful women that were highly available,
Just call me
and on form, and without baggage, and picture perfect, without husbands and partners and all sorts of other things. I say, obviously I'd love to go on a ship with 6,000 beautiful women. 6,000 beautiful men? No, thanks, not this time. They can find their own woman offshore. But I would keep to sea with a 6,000 women and hopefully get over my extreme seasickness, sea leg phenomena. Because it wouldn't be very pretty to be on a ship and know there are 6,000 beautiful women and I can do nothing about it. So we all hope that that is the truth.
Thank you, Lucinda. Kelsey.
Oh, yeah.
What have I done? Nothing yet. Kelsey, if you're on a cruise, one of those cruise liners from Miami in Florida, going into the Caribbean, which island would you like to visit, see most? And give us a reason.
My goodness, why are you asking me those strange questions? I don't go into that part of the world. It's a Bermuda Triangle. You kind of go in there with the boat, you never come out. Who wants that? No, so I rather stick to the northern hemisphere. I like the fjords, I like the Mediterranean cruises. I've been on 2 of them, and this is absolutely wonderful. You know, and I didn't disappear anywhere. Nobody hijacked us. Nobody, sank the boat, and it was absolutely lovely. The first trip we started in Barcelona, then we went all the way coast of Italy, sort of like Rome and wonderful, all those things that when they've got Vesuvius and it's blowing up and things, but that was 2,000 years ago, not And then we went into Istanbul, and then we went to Greek islands, and then wherever else. Oh, Venice! Oh, it was magnifico. You sit on top of that boat, it's like 15-story building, and you look down on St. Mark's Square in Venice. It's there somewhere. It's like people are like tiny. It was the most magnificent experience. So who would want to go into those Bermuda Triangle things, Miami? Too hot, too damp, too I don't know. No, go where it's a little bit cooler. Not now. No, now it's horrible. But it was absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. There we are. Thanks, Linda. All right. Yes. Now, Kazik was talking about Northern Hemisphere. And there's a wonderful Norwegian company, Hurtig Group. They've got a cruise ship that takes only 200 passengers. There's no casino on board, no live entertainment. But they specialize in cruises to the subarctic and subantarctic. Would you go on one of those?
This sounds like a cruise that my ex would absolutely love. He used to speak about moving to the Antarctica, and after our breakup, it was my dream come true. Unfortunately, he's not yet made his trip, but out of my research, what was absolutely amazing are all the polar bears. I've got two husky dogs, but there the huskies are used for sledding rather than decoration. I would love to see the stars at night with all those many colors, looking like a galaxy from outer space. So yes, I would love for my ex to go on this Antarctica. Who knows, maybe he stays there.
Never come back.
All right, so this is an easy one for you. Come and join me here, please. Here we go. Welcome. What part of the world would you like to visit? Now, not flying in an aeroplane, but on a ship. And tell us why you'd like to go there.
Okay, so I'm from the Rusty Dusty province of Malaya. I've never been on a ship, so these whole ship things are not my vibe. I think also that my worst fear is going from Barbados to so many things to see and being unprepared friends. So I think I would like to go to Greece.
Okay.
You'd
like to fly?
Fly, not quite, no thank you. I think what you see. I don't know if you've seen it. When I go to cruise ship and it doesn't small, it's like people with the Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. I suppose a lot of us remember when we were young, the big thing was for young people to take a cruise from either Durban to Cape Town or Cape Town to Durban on Union Castle. Which route would you like? Durban to Cape Town or Cape Town to Durban?
What a question to ask a foreigner. This obviously requires maturity. And when you ask me that, not knowing the history of that cruise, and obviously being too young to
Yes.
the first question I asked myself was, isn't it the same thing? Is it the same route? I don't know if it is the same route. All I can say is, how I would pick that route would very much depend on number one, yes, close enough. Close enough.
Now we get the bucket.
And that depends on the amenities on that ship. That depends on how much alcohol is on that route. That depends on the level of service in terms of facial aesthetics as well. I am single. That also depends on whether they have great child service and play areas, because I have a child who is a demon when it comes to play. But while I have my wine, she must also be able to be entertaining herself. We love to be entertained. It also depends on whether it would have a dark area, 2,000 people.
No, they didn't have 2,000.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
The more the merrier. Music, dance, alcohol, play area, good-looking stuff. And you've got me.
Evidently, those Union Castle cruises were very, very cheap, especially if you sailed steerage class. That's like third class. And you very often found your cabin was way down in the bowels of the ship and you had to share with 3 other people. Now, I don't think I could do that at my age now. I need my own space. Okay, it's none the Thank you. Once again, we're in the far northern hemisphere. A shipping company that interests me very greatly is Group. They run that small cruise ship that goes to the Arctic and Antarctic. Now, Hurtigruten is a big company, but they also have cargo passenger liners that specialize in trips from Oslo, right up around North Cape, to Kirkenes. I think Kirkenes is probably the most northerly town in Norway. They also stop off, it's a regular cargo service, they stop off at lots of little villages and towns and that to load and unload and mail and whatnot. The one fjord that they go up is Geiranger. I believe that's over 100 miles inland from the sea. Would you like to go on a cargo passenger liner? Once again, no entertainment.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen. I've no idea what it is that he's been talking about. I don't even know what he's talking about. I'm actually happy to say that a few people that have got up now, they are not really so much into the sea trips and all that. And, but from what you're saying, I see it's something that you really enjoy. But given a chance, being forced to, somebody holding a gun onto my head to say, get on there, I think I'll still go ahead and say, go ahead and shoot. I believe that, I'd like to go out and get into something that I personally like. And anything that involves water, I don't mind the swimming pool that I have. I'm very comfortable there. I don't take anywhere. Take me anywhere where there's water. I'd rather stay comfortable in my own comfort zone. Thank you.
When you go to Northern Europe, do a hurtig-driven trip. You can board at Bergen and you can get off at disembark at any one of the harbours where they visit.
I'll need to get that name of this one.
And last, Mandy, thank you.
Oh, I thought you were telling you another one. You said 6.
Yeah, well,
Six is
you
up.
are 6.
I've spoken a lot today.
I'll go speak again, Mandy.
Pick
Come on.
one of those guys. Peter will do it. Yes.
Okay,
Ready,
thanks,
Peter?
Lastly, we're not on a cruise liner this time. We're on a fast cross-channel ferry run between England and Brittany, England and Holland, and across the Irish Sea. Now, these ships very often encounter very bad weather, which is unpleasant for the passengers. Would you be able to cope with seasickness?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Oh, I might, Mr. Speaker. I've actually been on a ferry between Cornwall and France, and I didn't deal with the seasickness very well whatsoever. It was, you go through your moments. You can, you sit there and you can have a conversation which breaks your attention from feeling wavy for about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're back in the mood again. So I would say that absolutely not, but I also have fears of extremely turbulent ocean conditions, just purely by the fact, from the fact of watching horrific movies which have extremely horrific scenes in them, with gigantic waves and the biggest ships doing sort of 90-degree upstands or whatever they do. So from that perspective, can I deal with seasickness? Yes. Can I deal with extremely turbulent oceans? Definitely not. Would I want to put myself in that scenario? Definitely not. And like some of our other speakers, I'd love to fly.
Mr. Toastmaster, that ends my assignment for today. And to you.
Rena, would you give us a timekeeper's report, please? Before you start, if you just pay attention to the names, because I'm going to ask you to do the voting afterwards.
Oh, no flashing. Guilty prison was there.
Okay, Lucinda, 1 minute 29 seconds. Kazakh, 1 minute 34 seconds. Ane, 1 minute 15 seconds. Simpiwe, 39 seconds. Tambu, your leggerity was on point, 1 minute 57 seconds. Snazi, 1 minute 9 seconds. Peter, 1 minute 3 seconds. Thank you.
Thanks, Rena. Now, if you can vote, please.
Okay.
And one of the words is agile, agility, and the adjective is agile. Nimbleness, adjective is nimble. What's the adjective for agility? I've been thinking about it all break. Please answer my question.
It's the French légère.
Share.
What does Google say?
I have no idea.
I'm sure it's true.
What is it?
Please don't show me up. I didn't even think of looking.
French pronunciation.
No, pronunciation.
French Might be good for pronunciation.
Everybody's votes are in. Thank you very much. Let's go on to our evaluation session. And please welcome Lynn to run the evaluation.
Thank you to our 4 speakers and to my fellow 3 evaluators. I will be evaluating our first speaker, Fortune. Fortune's title is Variety, the Spice of Colombia. I can't say that. It's really going to be sexy in Colombia. Fortune, thank you. Unbeknownst to you, your shirt for me was a wonderful prop. It brought to mind the expression never say never, particularly in Colombia's case. You weaved a wonderful story which provided proof that Colombia does absolutely offer variety, including their very own brand of white spice, the C word. An infamous drug lord who reveled in his self-styled jail hotel. I would suggest that you didn't need the lectern, particularly because your notes were small. Had you had a book, perhaps that would have been necessary, but because they were small, you could actually have moved this out of the way. At one point, you looked like you were heading towards your pockets, but you managed to avoid that, so well done. As for the donkey activity, it's perfectly acceptable to be provocative, so I would suggest you don't need to apologize. Perhaps intro it, something like that, as an interesting fact or a shocking fact, just to set the tone. Your eye contact, maybe just linger longer. We know that biodiversity is something about which they are proud. Perhaps instead of using the word, I think you can count, but you use it a number of times. Maybe just use an alternative word or expand on the definition of biodiversity rather than using the same word a number of times. And then that's it. Thank you. As I said to the evaluators, I thought your title and the content held hands beautifully. Thanks very much. To evaluate Anaï's speech, Beautiful Africa, I'd like to call on Lois, please.
Madam Evaluation Chair, fellow Toastmasters, visiting Toastmasters guests, and especially Anaï. Anaï, once again, thank you for taking us on such an incredible journey. We felt for every minute of this speech that we were on that journey with you, and not just flies on the wall. We actually feel the journey with us. Your assignment was to incorporate feedback from your previous speech into this one. And a lot of those things you did very well. You didn't use notes this time. You were still dressed very well. You showed us exactly what Africa looks like. Your movement between the stories were great. You moved when you spoke about one story, and then you moved when you spoke about the other country. And that got us to the, gave us the idea that you are switching from one story to another. It's really well done. You had less nerves than last time, but it was still present. But you had no unnecessary fidgeting, because nerves are often characterized by playing with your hands and doing things. You did none of that. I'm very, very proud of the improvement there. I would suggest that you use a bit more time. You don't need to thank the audience. You can just point to the Toastmaster, whoever is presiding at the time, and just point and go on with the business. I would rather think it's the audience's job to thank you for giving us such a wonderful experience. When you did movement, it did feel for me that you had to think about doing the movement. I think that could have been probably just a bit more flowy, but I think you did very well. To conclude, you already command attention when you stand up here. Very early in your Toastmaster journey, you managed to grab our attention and you managed to keep it. I think you're off to a great start, and I only think to conclude with that's a bit to work on is your notes. Thank you very much.
Always a winner. Because you can't go wrong, you lived that story. And that's something that you can always use to your advantage. Something you want to work on. At certain stages you were speaking and looking down. And I almost thought, there's something that I've missed. So my suggestion on that bit, pause and just think, gather your thoughts, and then continue speaking. I was sitting on that side. I don't know if it was something with what you wanted to do, but I felt that you had a lot more attention this side, and you sort of kind of that side of the audience. So my suggestion is move back a bit. I like where you had the lectern, look at your notes or your props, and then speak to everybody. And otherwise, this side of the room will feel left out. Another suggestion I want you to challenge yourself is to move with a purpose. If you don't have a purpose to move, don't move at all. But if you have transitions in your story, you can start on this side and paint a picture, tell a story. Then you move to the middle, the second part, and then transition to the third part. Builds a connection in everybody's mind of your story. Very well on the use of body language. As I told him in our session, I'm more of a rough type of person. Open hands. He's refined in a good way. More particular on certain things. You can see by the use of hands. So well done on that. The gestures, your voice variety. Very personal stories. You had a huge up and then you brought it down soft. And the props, very well used. I want to commend you on the waffles for men, spaghetti for women. We had a quick chat. Men are from women are from brass. In conclusion, excellent choice of topic, content, the singing. I must mention the singing. I don't think I'll ever do that. Maybe a couple of years. And the humour. I commend you. Excellent speech. Looking forward to hearing it again.
Just an acknowledgement of this, my particular milestone. I'm going to call Dave up to evaluate Mandy's speech, but can we just give Mandy a round of applause again for her?
Thank you, Madam Evaluation Chief. I think that clapping was premature. You haven't heard me speaking. Mandy, realization. When you do a presentation, it's right from the very moment you get up. Mandy walked up here with confidence. Get in front here, she had a really good image. You have 70 seconds to impress the audience. Image. So there, right with that. Then I thought about this, I was thinking about this realization. I didn't really know what it was because we come with Victoria. And how many other in the audience might not have known what realization was? And she opened and told us what it was. Excellent realization. Awesome. The title realization enhanced your presentation. The opening, you had time means to you. What does time mean? It related to all of us. We all could relate to time affects us. It was an excellent way you took on your speech. Your humour, stay down a bit. Time to move out. Eddie's talk brought us really to the top of your speech. Life-changing. Very well received by all of us. Held our attention and of utmost importance. One rock out at a time. Any of you know what the message is? We can all try it. Body language very good. The hamster. And you move with purpose. It's excellent when a person uses the stage to their advantage. I think it was when you finished your marriage. It's time to move on. Move on. Brilliant example of using the stage. Care on abbreviations. AKA. I didn't have a clue what it meant. I thought you would have taken out your past. So careful of using abbreviations. Rather not use an abbreviation. If you use an abbreviation, tell us what it is. Especially us guys from Victoria, we don't know these things.
I live Victoria.
You shared yourself and you were a very sincere speaker and we enjoyed your presentation. It was an excellent presentation. Sum up, objectives achieved. One thing that has brought to my attention by purpose, your ending I said was excellent, but you enhanced that when you came forward and you said, I'm here, something like that. Thank you. Sum up, very excellent presentation. Congratulations on attaining your CC. Thank you.
We have a slip of paper, would you please vote for your
Vote for me.
evaluator?
So you said part of the boys.
Good exercise.
Sabrina, sorry, and I should have asked please before you voted. May we have a time please?
2 minutes, 11 seconds. Growers, 2 minutes, 29 seconds. Hot, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. 3 minutes, 2 seconds. And Dave, 3 minutes, 4 seconds. Thank you.
Right, let's hear about some wonderful use of language from our Marion.
Well done to everyone on the use of the word of the day, legerity. Harold topped it with 4 uses. Sabrina 1, Peter 1, Johan 2. And I won't count myself because I knew what the word was. Then in terms of language that I noted, it's more of phrases that were impactful, that were said in a way that was helpful to us in understanding what you were saying. So fortune, I don't have the exact wording, but it was something around if the world's biosystem could be, biodiversity could be named Colombia. It just gave us the breadth of the biodiversity in the country. Flamboyant amenities, you don't normally expect amenities to be flamboyant, they're basic things. And your title, of course, Variety of the Spice of Colombia. And then you had a wonderful way of taking us through something that was going well and bringing it to an abrupt end. There were 2 phrases I noted. All this came to an abrupt end, but it also had to do with the tone in which you said it. My dream was shattered in Uganda, and nowhere else have I experienced such unity, richness, and diversity in culture. Just that richness of what you were saying. Adrian, you had a lot of gems there. There are always ups and downs in marriage, but one never runs unstable and but your simile are men's minds being like waffles and women's minds being like spaghetti, and your use of audio, the word escapes me now, the sound of the word. So you use clap for how man's mind thinks, and which was a lovely word for how women think. Mandy, I would take this one with a pinch of salt because I may not be fully aware of what you were wanting to put across. So when you said, when you chunk things like that, you see a whole different perception. Perhaps the word perspective may have been clearer in showing one view versus another view, but I don't know if that's what you let me take. I loved the use of I wasn't living, I was just surviving, the hamster wheel of life. And then you had an analogy around spending the next few days or years of your life uprooting, because if you're not a tree, if you're not happy, move, you're not a tree. And you built an entire set of imagery around unpacking, uprooting, and you not being a tree. The last thing I loved from you was cherished treasures from my past. Kazakh, a most significant experience that helped us to see your view of Rome, I think. And Ade, the star
lost track during the table topic session because I was getting into all the talks. Obviously, I was really being very legit. But I'd like to commend Dave on not having any faults, which is great. I'd like to, and I'd like to just point out a few. So everyone I had a lot. Obviously, I always do. So that's my thing. But I'm going to change it just in time, obviously. Fortune. Everything. Your whole speech was great, but you do use quite a bit to fill the gaps. No problem. Just something to note there. And everyone was 3 or 4 ums and ahs, nothing major. So I think everyone did relatively okay. And Dave was the teacher. Thank you.
Just a couple of general comments on the meeting. Again, always fantastic to have a handful of visiting members and visitors. I know for me as a member of this club, it's lovely to see other faces, so thank you. It does enhance our experience as members of this club. Thank you, Ewan, for lovely table topics. I don't get the point in, but there was lots of maturity in evidence. And to Dave and to Hart, again, lovely having visiting members to share ideas. I've heard a handful of great ideas that will just for us to discuss as a club and as a committee. To just do, just chat us, do things differently from time to time and see how it feels. And if it doesn't feel good, we'll go back to what we did before. Nothing else, I think. One morning, we're not looking for perfection, we're looking to have a good time and run in a very orderly way. That's the end of the evaluation session. I'll hand back to our Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Very well run session. It's terrible with the table topics, evaluation show at the Toastmaster. I'd just like to wrap up with a few comments about the straight line instinct. So why do we do it? Normally it's because we don't have all the information at hand. And we often don't recognize patterns that we've seen before. And feedback from seeing current patterns in the short term is what we base our thinking on, instead of looking at the longer term. So I would implore all of you as Toastmasters, just as thinking people, when you look at a situation, try and get as much data as possible. And remember that if you look at something in the short term, it will follow a straight line. If you look at it in the longer term, you'll see that things happen that cause ups and downs and exponential patterns to develop. And that, if you do that, you will find that things are better than you think is said in that book, because you're looking at true facts, not at something that you extrapolate from. Thank you for the good audience for me today. Thank you to the speakers and to the role players who made it easy for me. And I'm very happy to hand back to our president, Lynn.
for that moment.
And a drum roll for best evaluator, please.
Ja, zo.
You must also comb your hair.
Yeah, why?
Meet your appreciation society.
Yeah, we take the
Salties on the TikTok, you two.
biggest drum roll for our best.
Look at that. You
Oh.
careful, no pictures.
Right.
Oh my gosh, this is like pomp and ceremony. Yeah. Next time it will be Prince Charles.
I have not tracked Big Mug, and so in advance of our next meeting, I'd like to just suggest we develop a process for that, and it shouldn't just be up to me. So at our future meetings, we'll have a fourth square of paper. Just keep writing notes throughout the meeting of people who've done funny, silly, clever things. And then I'm going to go around, then I'll gather those and collect them and share who the winner of our Big Mug Award is, and that's still thanks to David Martin who gave us that really fun. Okay, on a point, does anybody have anything they would like to?
I'd like to just say, Picture Creature Thursday, it is not as easy as anyone thinks, and I want to thank Lynn. She pitched up, asked her to evaluate me, and she actually came in and she was really early. And I promise you, she said to me, show me your hands, and I was shivering. But I felt calm the minute she walked in. And having her there from this club, for me, meant the world to me. And I'm going to just say thank you. And there was another thing that happened a week before, professional speakers, I was there, they told me that Toastmasters is basic trash, and that is a hobby, and that no speaker will ever come out of Toastmasters. And I told her about it. I'd worn my pins here proudly, and the MC happened to be the man that insulted me in the lift. And by the end of it, the comments that are going through Picture Creature is that it was the worst MC they've ever seen, and that professional speakers is not a place that anyone really does particularly like. And that Toastmasters really looked incredibly good on the day. So I'm saying to everyone here, it really is a privilege to be on this journey, and I think it really is an amazing, if I look how I've grown, and I think maybe it's not even a year yet, is you can be an international speaker, and you can have whatever you want in life. So don't let anyone ever, say anything negative about your journey in Toastmasters.
Toastmasters teach you how to speak. Speakers Association teaches you the business of speaking. I know plenty of Toastmasters that are doing well and still going to do well. So if you want to give me that man's name, I'll persuade him.
A very special thanks to Adrian for arranging this whole setup today. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian.
I'd like to comment some suggestions. In the impromptu session, a lot of people spoke about, and somebody else spoke about, being sick on water. Do you know how to avoid that?
Don't go in the water the first
No, when you get onto the ship, you take a spoon of jam.
Oh no, we can gag more.
Sugar. Easy. So when you're sick, it tastes sweet.
We must talk about Pichu Pichu because this is a really
For your next boat
We have a
trip.
quick intro what it is.
Any of our non-member visitors like to share anything about their experience with us this morning?
I think it's not what we expected it to be. It was a lot more engaging and yeah, it feels like you guys have built sort of a community, so that's a nice feeling.
Right, thank you.
The warm welcome we got here this morning. We were driving all over, it's good to hear you. Warm welcome from you. Thank you so much. All the greets and the meets.
Very like cold welcome as well.
What do you take home with you? The donkey.
It was a wonderful experience. It was absolutely wonderful. I've been here times. If I don't do anything on Saturday morning, rather than get drunk and drink coffee the whole morning, rather come here, yeah?
Join the club.
Okay. Before I ask, well, Paul Mandy, just two things. The committee members are required to attend training twice a year, and that's coming up on the 3rd of August, so we look forward to feeding back to you what we've learned. After that, which will be at our next meeting, which is on the 10th of August, in 2 weeks' time, back at our Bryanston Sports Club. Yeah, and
I think my get some more steps. Okay. Thank you. So I learned this at another club out in Pretoria somewhere. To stand up here and try and get our role players going for the next meeting. As you know, this is an NGO. That means, NGO, aka, also known as NGO, is also known as non-paying work. I don't get paid to do this. So I'm a very busy lady. I've got a job and children. So this has helped me. And what I learned last week was our theme from last year, embracing agility. On Thursday night at 8 o'clock, I had a change. And I had to try and slot in, and so thank you to the people who I can rely on that say, no problem, shift me around and change me. We're going to try this again. I have got most of my speakers for the next meeting. I'm sitting on 6, which might drop down to 4. So I've got Abrina, Lucinda, Peter, Lynn, Kurs, and Nan. I have found a Toastmaster, Adrian, thank you very much, and a Table Topics Master, Nancy, thank you very much. Anae will be doing the evaluation. I will hold the evaluation chair for the meeting. And registration, I'm going to ask Hamza, we'll see how far we go. Sergeant in Arms, thank you, Fortune, for taking that on. And I am now looking for a R counter and a grammarian. Hello, Harold. Which one would you choose? Which one would you choose? Okay, so I'll put you down for. Which one do you need better skills at? Listening. Grammarian. Johan, would you like to do R counter? Thank you.
Just a matter of interest, you can join those two together.
I know you can.
Just a suggestion.
Thank you. We do when we need to. Thank you, guys. I'm hoping that we can kind of get this program sorted, but if not, I shall let you guys know and hopefully filter in. job that much easier.
Last chance to say, share, express. Peter.
So I would like to say thank you for accepting me into your club. Well done. You've done it to be here. I'd also like to say that I'm not around for a long time, just for a good time. Unfortunately, I'm immigrating in a month or so time. So I've got 3 sessions.